Hello and welcome to our ThirdWall video. This video is specifically designed to give you a deep dive into ThirdWall policies, which are kind of the heart of what we do with ThirdWall. It presumes that you have a base understanding of how to use ThirdWall already, and in addition, of course, Automate, since ThirdWall is a plugin for Automate. We have found that there are so many great policies available within ThirdWall that our clients tend to be a little overwhelmed, and a deep dive can really help you to fully understand them and thus uh, prospectively use them far more than you do today. We want you to get comfortable. We want you to understand what they do and why, and thus give you a level of comfort so that you can then jump in and deploy ThirdWall protection across all of your computers. That's our purpose. Hopefully you'll get a good chance to see that in action today. I'm going to bring up our demonstration environment, and as you see, we're running Automate 12. Very similar in most respects to running it on Automate 11 if you're still back on 11. But you'll see once we get under the covers, it's virtually identical with really just one minor change. But in the policy domain, it is primarily all going to look the same. Our policies are applied by location, so not by client and not by computer, not by all clients certainly, but by demo, at least as the building block. As you'll see with profiles, we give you a few different options for going beyond a single location. So let me open up this one location called demo. And I'll go to the ThirdWall screen, which again, we presume you have a basic understanding of ThirdWall, so I won't go into the fundamentals of how to turn policies on, off, etc., with a little bit of exception. So as you know, the work on all the policies is done within these subtabs, and I will jump right into those and start going through some of our policies so you fully understand them. First one under local built-in account management has 5 different policies. And one of the things I want to make sure that you remember is that anything with an asterisk will not apply to servers, but only to workstations. So anything you see there throughout the demonstration today, that asterisk will mean it will only apply to workstations. So these first 3 are all about protecting the local administrator account. Really critical to do because malware of all types likes to get in, take over the computer, and then if it can, take over the local administrator account. Once it does that, it has highly elevated privileges and can do a lot more damage. So you can protect that by simply renaming it and or controlling the password. When you click on these, you will get ability to enter some data, and which we will store. Now, if the administrator account is disabled, this won't work. So you may want to click on that just to ensure that it's already turned on, or that we turn it on for you before you actually apply that. And we can even hide the administrator account from the logon screen if you'd like. Additionally, you can set the local administrator password, and again, type in whatever you want. And this is stored encrypted on a database within Automate. And when you cursor away, it does get hidden, so that's kind of a nice feature. Alternatively, you can simply disable the local administrator account. Now, when you do this, those 2 will gray out because you can't choose all of the above. You have to make some choices here. Pretty straightforward and absolutely critical. Now, these fall into, whichever you choose, a category that we call no-brainers, which I think you'll understand here shortly. No-brainers for us means something that, a policy that the end user will basically not even know that you've applied it. Great protection, but the end user will not notice it. So, and we've got a few tools to help you with that. If I go to our website, and I go under Resources, Onboard Your Client, you'll want to bookmark this one. It's important. One of the things you can see here is on this, this link here to download our policy matrix. Take a look at that. And we have a matrix that shows you 2 different dimensions. One is how much impingement on end users, or alternatively, will they notice that you've done it or not? And the less that they notice it, the more it's a no-brainer. And then alternatively, what is the impact on the MSP, or if you're an internal IT shop, on you as an internal IT shop, which is going to be a little different. it can prevent headaches. Many of our policies can and will prevent headaches, and that's real money. You spend time with some sort of virus or something, and that's real money that you know that you don't want to spend. Alternatively, if you are an MSP, you may want to generate additional revenue. This matrix is really useful for you to take a look at so you can understand the different ones. And again, no-brainers, you can see there's a lot of them. Your end users won't notice them being turned on at all. And therefore, why not use them as soon as possible? So that's one way to look at this. Let me head back to here. These are basically all no-brainers, especially these first three. Your end users won't notice that they're there. Why not deploy them right away? Disable guest account is similar. The value of a guest account, as I turn it on and save it, is of course you end up with an audit trail, enabled Sense, and that goes on your audit reports so that you know, because of our monitors, that we check this every 5 minutes, which is really critical for cybersecurity. Disallow Microsoft accounts simply prevents people from logging in using their Windows Live or their Hotmail accounts. It does not impact Office 365 logins, so be aware of that. It's much simpler than that. You'll notice that I'm not going to hit save for a little while. Until I do, the enable sense and the undo links will not show up. I can simply toggle things on and off until I do that. They're not really saved. So those are really important. Now, one of the things that this raises a question about is, should I use third wall instead of using group policy? Because Active Directory group policy can do some of these things, certainly not all of them. But you say, why should I not do, for instance, disable guest account or disallow Microsoft accounts, which are registry settings, using group policy? Well, you can if you'd like. But if I were you, I would think about that. Why is third wall better than group policy? And we actually have a little table here for you to use that I would like for you to look at. And this is why. If you're talking about cybersecurity policies, so this isn't any policy, this is cybersecurity policies, how often do you want them to be monitored to make sure they're in their correct setting? 2 hours or sometimes longer can be a long time for something or somebody to do damage. 5 minutes, not so much. They both autofix. Third wall will send a ticket, whereas group policy won't. And wouldn't you want a ticket to understand that one of your settings has changed that is being used for cybersecurity protection? Third wall can protect non-domain computers. Third wall can protect traveling domain computers, which are not currently on the network. Third wall is easy to see and easy to modify and has an easy way to accept a computer. All really powerful arguments for you to thus use third wall instead of group policy for the cybersecurity policies. Okay, I'm going to go take this back to the home page, and it's there. And now let me jump back into our policies. All right, so let's move down to local user account management. The first three are about local password protection. So all three are local and use them appropriately. They aren't quite no-brainers, but they're as close as you can get to no-brainers. You really have to do these in today's age, and this is a great way to enforce them. Same thing with password protected screensaver, where you can get a slider, and all of these have different tools that pop up as you need them, of course. One of our favorites is restrict local administration tools. This one is all about if your end users have local admin privileges, which most end users do for various legitimate reasons. But once you do that, you've enabled them to have a bunch of dangerous tools that you probably don't want your end users to have. So you click on RLAT, Restrict Local Admin Tools, and you can see that you can prevent those tools from being used by any end user. Although we give you a little out. What if you want to exempt anybody who signed in as a true local administrator or domain administrator from being restricted from these third wall policies? Easy to do, and we recommend that, in fact, that you click that if you want to use the restrict local admin tools policy. And of course, you can uncheck whatever you want if you want your end users in this location to be able to use those. So a really powerful set of tools. Next one down, User access controls, this is Windows UAC, just mirrors it, and it certainly is a best practice for that. The next two are about preventing unwanted software, which end users do all the time. You can stop that even getting on those computers by these two policies. You notice that we have some wildcards embedded within these two as well as at the end, and that one still means the same thing. It won't apply to servers. But setup exe and install exe and all their variants will not run if you have this policy turned on. Now, that will also prevent you as systems administrators from running them as well, with a couple of major exceptions. One is you can simply use the issue commands, try and run these things from the Automate Control Center. Automate runs as an LSA, Local Systems Administrator, which has super privileges, and it will not pay attention to this restriction, so that's a good thing. Same thing with MSIs. Those will not be impacted if you're launching them from Automate itself, which includes running it from an Automate script, so important to remember. Other ways to get around it, use the temporary undo, and I will go ahead and hit save just so I can refresh you. When the undo comes up for these policies, you can create a temporary undo, open a window. There's a 30-minute window on that one that allows you to then run setup and install exe for a limited period of time, and then in 30 minutes, which is what I set, this policy will automatically reapply, so that gives you another way to get out. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back on by clicking undo again and remove the temporary suspension. So that's another way. A third way, which please don't tell your end users, is just rename the files and they'll run because we're looking for file names. Under Windows Installer, a little different option for you. You notice the radio buttons. By default, we will click the Disable Unmanaged MSI Files. You can disable all MSI files, which again has the same impact on you. It will restrict you unless you're running it from directly the Automate Control Center. Alternatively, you can click this option, this radio button, and this will only restrict people who are not elevated users, which means, of course, they're not administrators. Anybody who's an administrator can run the MSI files with that clicked, so it gives you a different option in this instance. I'm going to move to the next one, OS Security. Windows is spying, catching every keystroke of every end user. You should turn that off. That's probably a good idea. Enabling the logon message, another no-brainer. Why would you not do this tomorrow? In fact, a lot of things we've gone over so far are no-brainers or near no-brainers. But you can actually even brand yourself if you want to, protected by you. And then here is the required legal disclaimer. And I say required, it is required if you have any kind of HIPAA or PCI for credit cards or SOC, NIST, any of those and all of those require that every time somebody log in, they see a legal disclaimer, which you can find Googled anywhere just about. And so this gives you a dual advantage of both branding and meeting a requirement. So again, why would you not do this for everybody tomorrow? Smart Screen is very useful for Microsoft browsers, and how do you know they're not using a Microsoft browser? I mean, unless you've uninstalled them and have not allowed them to reinstall them, they might be using Microsoft Edge or Microsoft Explorer. UPnP and Auto Run. One of the mistakes many end users make, or many people make, is assuming that that malware is trying to get in only through the latest, most sophisticated ways. And actually, most malware is just recycled stuff and is looking for any way in it can get there, which is why we exist, of course, at ThirdWall. So shut down even old things if they're not required, and these two will both prevent things from sneaking in. One of our clients had a disastrous week when most of their clients went to a regional show for that particular industry, and they came back with data sticks from one of the vendors, and every one of those data sticks was infected. They popped into the computer, the screen pops up, and says, what would you like to do with it? And they made something on that pop-up that was really tempting, because apparently virtually all of their clients clicked on that file. And of course, you know the rest of the story. It was infected, and that was a horrible week. So using ThirdWall to slow things down and prevent even autoplay from working is a great way to prevent a ton of headaches for you later. This next one is very interesting. You may or may not know that AppData is a favorite launching place, the AppData folder, for ransomware. Not all, but virtually all ransomware likes to bury itself in the AppData folder and launch. So if you click this, you will stop a ton of ransomware. Unfortunately, you'll also stop a bunch of, well, not a bunch, but some useful and legitimate software that for whatever reason was programmed to launch as an executable out of AppData. However, we have a way around that with version 2212 or later. So if you go back to the primary control screen and we go to System, Configuration, Dashboard, wait for the dashboard to come up and you will see under the Configuration Integration page there is a third wall page. And over here is the AppData executable block exceptions, or whitelist if you prefer. You can add to this. We've pre-configured enough, and don't think this is enough to get ConnectWise launched. It's not. ConnectWise Manage is blocked by our AppData policy, but you can whitelist it. And on our website, we have some ways to describe what you need to do on how to do that. So that's a really powerful way to prevent ransomware from launching while preserving legitimate applications. So highly encourage you to go to that. I'll leave that open for now. And back to here. The last one is disable terminal server services. You would probably recognize that as RDP. Yes, that is another entryway, and we have clients who, before they were clients and using this policy, did have entryway in for their for malware right through an RDP port. So you can turn that off, and you can do that for workstations and servers or both. If you've got the RDP server in this location, clearly you don't want to use this. It's certainly not at that server level. So you've got some different options there for you to apply RDP protection. Now, remember no-brainers and others. We're starting to get into some territory of not no-brainers, things that you could potentially think of charging for. This AppData one, for instance, that's ransomware protection. You may want to charge that for that if you're an MSP. And you'll see later we have 2 more policies specifically targeted for ransomware. So you could conceivably put together a ransomware package that covers that. And, why not get some revenue out of that? All right, let's move down to Data I/O security, another place where you might consider revenue opportunities. This is protecting data. And it's not protecting data like from Equifax hackers. It's protecting data from theft by internal employees and contractors, which in small businesses in particular happens all the time. They will download something onto a disk or a stick or something and walk out the door and go to a competitor, especially contractors. Don't forget about them. So this kind of protection in today's environment is pretty critical. You can stop them writing to a disk, or if you prefer, reading and writing. So if I select one, the other one grays out. I'm going to prevent them reading, writing to any USB storage device, which includes phones. Yes, it includes data sticks and external drives, as you might expect. Notice that these 2 options were grayed out, and I will come back to USB wall. Common cloud storage, yep, stop them from dragging and dropping to their Dropbox. Now, if you need to enable OneDrive on this location because the business uses it, then do that. No, we can't distinguish between work and personal OneDrive. So if you do that, be aware you're opening a little bit of a hole there. We can't do both. And the last one, as you probably know, when you delete a file, it's not truly deleted. The pointers are simply repointed. So go ahead and click on this, and it will do on a schedule, a 3-pass overwrite of all those ghost files that haven't really been deleted. Once you do 3 passes of 1s and 0s, they're deleted. So I wouldn't do it on a daily basis. We give you that option. I'd probably go to monthly because there is some background noise for the users. That it's a background process. So it's not going to interfere legitimately with what's going on. But your end users might notice the high disk I/O. And that's legitimate. We're doing that. It could take a little while, especially the first time it's run. So you might not want to run it on a daily basis. It also is, for your information, something that does eat up SSD cycles, read-write cycles. So again, another reason for a good compromise, perhaps monthly, to get rid of all those ghost files. You notice I can just deselect it still because I haven't hit save. I'm going to deselect this one, and I'm going to talk to you about USB wall. In application, very similar, although in technique very different, to disable read-write USB storage devices. You will prevent everything from running on every USB storage device from working on every computer in this location, just like that. So what's the difference? In this one, you can register devices and thus make exceptions. And those USB sticks will work and nothing else will. Now, there's two different elements to that to show you. One is, how do I register sticks, which I'll show you in a minute. But second is, there's a major secondary value for that. You've limited the number of sticks that actually will work on these computers. But secondarily, if I go back to the main screen, and I'm going to right-click. I'll do all clients. I can do a data view at any level. And there's third wall v2, and there is a USB wall file transfer audit. Click on that, and this gives you a listing in the last 60 days of every file that's been transferred, written to, saved to, copied to a registered USB stick. It tells you the file name, the end user's name, the time they did it, and the computer name. Ton of great data. You can export this to your clients and send it to them as an Excel spreadsheet, and all of a sudden they have a really powerful tool to examine that and see if any confidential files are being copied by somebody that should not be copied. Great way to prevent data theft. So that's what this is. That's an extraordinary value for some organizations. How do you register a stick? Well, even though you turn on the policy by location, you register sticks by entire client, so that stick will work across any location where you have USB wall turned on. It'll actually work anywhere, but it's the only stick or sticks that will work in registered, in USB wall locations. So I'm going to open up a client level. You can see there's a third wall tab, and I have one policy, one stick has been registered. It's highlighted, you can't really tell, but I'm going to show you how easy is it to remove that, since you may have fired this Scott guy. Remove it, yes, and that stick is no longer registered and won't work any longer. But how do you register a stick? Well, we're going to go into the capture pens, and pens is a kind of an arcane name for stick, and it fits better into our little circle, right? So I'm going to the insert pen mode, and it's asking me to insert a pen. I'm going to do that, again, at my LabTech Control Center computer, which is where you need to register sticks. So if I can physically get it in there, there it goes. And once Windows recognizes it, you'll see it pull up. There it goes, and we're looking for the serial number, and there it is. Serial numbers are not unique. You may not have known that. We actually have to change that. And I will reassign it to Scott, some other Scott that we hired, and I will click Save. And there it is, and now this stick will work. I'm going to remove that stick from the USB port, and I'm ready for my next one. So it doesn't take long to do that. Now, a lot of our clients who are using this, they will actually go out and purchase USB sticks in mass with their logo on them, distribute them as appropriate, charge extra if you want to, if you're selling them, which I would recommend for MSPs. And then charge a monthly fee, again, if you're an MSP. So another revenue opportunity for you if you want to make it so. So that's how you register a stick and the value of USB wall. So let's go back here. I think that's enough for this page. I'm going to go to the next page, which is application security. If you blacklist an application in Automate, we will uninstall it for you. But for now, only partially. We'll uninstall them if they're MSI files. We'll start adding in executable files as our product grows and develops. So it's a future feature, but we can uninstall anything that's MSI silently, and user will never know it. Something that's really critical, what you may not know is the primary method for infection in small businesses is phishing on iCloud, Gmail, and Yahoo. They kind of dominate still. And if you click that, you can see you can turn that off. And those end users will no longer be able to get into their Gmail or any of these. Just that fast. Pretty powerful. Now, the next question you may ask me is, what if somebody in that organization the CEO of my client or something wants to be able to access their iCloud mail. No problem. As you'll see later, we can make an exception to these policies. Just that simple for any single computer. It's quite easy to do. Um, Very similar, prevent social media access, prevent people from getting to Facebook or even Tinder, my favorite, so that they're not doing things they shouldn't be doing, not browsing or using work computers for things they shouldn't be using them for. And again, marketing people need to get to this potentially, so you can make exclusions or exceptions for individual computers for any of this as well. So pretty powerful, almost more of a productivity play than it is a security play, but still very useful. Windows Store, Google Play, and Apple App Store, pretty obvious is what they are. And these last two are equally obvious if you think about it. Malware loves to piggyback on macros and OLE, the OLE system within Office documents received from the outside, emails in particular, obviously. And you can stop that this easy. So strongly recommend that you do that. Almost, in fact, this has become in our minds, these are no-brainers. You pretty much have to do that. So let me move down to protocol security. There are a lot of obsolete protocols out there, and even some that are forward-looking, like IPv6, that aren't necessarily even being used. Rule of thumb, shut them down if nothing is using them. That's kind of the tricky part. You may recall WannaCry. It used SMBV1 as one of its conduits to spread and spread rapidly. Horrible ransomware virus. So if you had shut down SMBV1, you'd have stopped the spread just like that, because that's what it relied upon. But you would also have gotten some phone calls from people because their scan to computer no longer works. Many manufacturers decided that they were going to use an obsolete protocol to do scan to computer. Now, a lot of those are changing, but what the point is here, for any of these that you turn off, any of these protocols that you disable, you should be aware that there might be side consequences, and we strongly encourage you to test them in limited fashion before you roll them out broadly, just to make sure that they're safe. And that's up to you, but we wanted to give you fair warning. I'm going to turn that off for now. These top two are all about enforcing the local Windows firewall, workstations and servers, so you get your choice, or both. If you turn that on, you do get the chance by clicking on this to assign your own WFW config file, which will bring up firewall, we'll bring up Windows Explorer, File Explorer, and you can go pick your WFW file, and we'll enforce that. Remember, our monitors run every 5 minutes, so we'll make sure not only is the policy turned on, but that WFW file is active and protecting these computers. There is a backdoor way, which I'm not going to show you, but I'll reference it. In our resources under instructions, you might want to open up our operational instructions document and scroll to that policy. It will tell you how you can use that policy to ensure that the firewall is actually turned off, which is useful if you don't want the local Windows firewall to be turned on. Just something to explore on your own. Last page, security logging and monitoring, which is a lot of fun. Some really cool stuff here. Enable user logon reporting. I skipped that one first because this one just provides data to this one and also to this one. So if I click on this, you'll notice it tells me I have to turn that one on first. No problem. Click, and that one is primed and ready to be turned on when I hit save. So user logon reporting. If you've ever seen a Windows log file, you'll know that it's pretty useless. A ton of data and no information, and you can't get any information out of that unless you use a computer algorithm. Well, guess what? We did that for you. User logon reporting. And I will show you a logon report quickly. Right now, as of this recording, our reports are still under legacy systems, so I have to go under legacy. And if you don't know how to get to legacy in Automate 12, in Automate 11, it's just right-click at the client level or above, because our reports are client level. They are not group or location level. They're client level or above. If you go to our website, again, whoops, let me click on the right one, and you go to our home page, you can see third wall on Automate 12. Just click on that. It goes back to our instructions page, by the way, and this tells you how to get that icon on your Automate 12. Very straightforward. I'll leave you to read that, and I will go back to here. For now, until we get on to the new report center with DevExpress, we're a legacy report using Crystal Reports. You go to Report Manager, and there is our logon report. It may be hidden under a third wall icon here under a folder, but for now on my system it's right there. Double click on that, and again, it's client level or above. If I don't specify, it'll run it for all clients. I'm going to click Print Preview so you can see what this is. The client named Acme has no data, but this one does, where we were at earlier. And just so you know, this is pre-sorted, hard code sorted, so you can't change it by domain and then by end user, so that you can easily find an end user, and then by computer in case that end user is using more than one, and then by start time of the event. Now you'll notice there's only three types of events: log on, unlock, and blank. Blank is a logon failure, so check that out. Log on is, well, just what it says, and here's when the log on happened. Here is the log off time corresponding. We have paired them for you. Similarly with unlocked at this time and locked, so you can actually tell when an end user was on a computer, and more data there. So you notice this covers a full month and a day. We designed it that way so that you can schedule it using the scheduler. Schedule it monthly, email it to yourself or to your client, and save it as a PDF. And you now have a full record, an archive, if you would, of every log on, log off, unlock, lock, and log on failure by end users. We filter out all of the other types of logons so that you are focused on end users. Really powerful policy. Okay, let me go back to there. Enhanced security event logging. Oh, before I do that, user logon reporting, I forgot to show you. We do have a corresponding data view, so I'll go to that client again, any level for the data view. Data view, third wall v2, and the login audit. Same exact data, just formatted a little differently. We don't pair it. It's a little raw data, but you can filter it, you can sort it, and be able to do forensic searches like who in the world was on this computer last night and not authorized to be, and you can find that very quickly. So, data view. Let me head back here. Enhanced security event logging. This just does 15 different events. It turns them on. They're not automatically by default turned on by Windows, but they're required by HIPAA. So our clients asked us to add that, and we did. We don't do anything with it. It's just stored locally in the event log. And again, if you want to find out what it is, go open up our instructions, and it tells you what those 15 different events are. Monitor event log clearing. Remember no-brainers? This is the biggest no-brainer there is. End user will never know this policy is turned on, but it's really important. Why? You have to understand what clears the event log. Unless you're doing it, there's only two things that would. One is a sophisticated bad actor, somebody who knows what they're doing and knows how to clear an event log and is covering their tracks. They don't want you to see what they just did. We just send you a ticket on this one, big red flag. Second possibility is that ransomware has buried itself in this particular computer. And again, we'll send you a ticket. Ransomware loves to bury itself. And when it does so, it clears the event log to hide the fact that it's there. You want that big red flag. You should turn this policy on for everybody tomorrow. I mean, everybody that you protect, everybody that you manage, in fact, because this will save you. And remember, this is our second ransomware specific policy along with app data. There's one more to come. Now, these last couple of policies, really interesting. Alert on excessive failed logon events. That one is all about detecting a brute force attempt to take over a computer. So when you turn it on, you have to set a threshold as what constitutes excessive. In this case, it is 2 logon failures per hour. No, that's way too low. I will hate myself if I do that. So let's go to 10 logon failures per hour. If any computer in this location exceeds that, then what happens? Well, whatever you've put in this box. Right now it's scheduled for ticket only. Any of your options will send tickets. This one is just ticket only for your convenience. Shutdown will send a ticket and shut down that computer. Now notice that there is an asterisk there. We do not shut down servers. But probably more interesting are these checkboxes rather than radio buttons, because you can do 1, 2, or all 3 of them. Let's check them out. One is you can launch an antivirus scan using whatever antivirus you have associated with that computer via your Automate configuration. So it'll happen right now, plus you'll get a ticket, of course. You can lock out that computer as well, or instead of. Lockout will log everybody off of that computer instantly, and then it will disable all of the local accounts, leaving only the domain account as being active anymore. Much safer all of a sudden. And the third option is isolate. Again, our function. This will disconnect that computer from everything, internet or network. Won't connect to anything like that, except for A, the Automate server, and B, the ConnectWise Control or Screen Connect server. Those are the only things that it will connect to. Everything else is done. And now you have prevented the spread of whatever's on that caused the failure, the threshold to be crossed, while you're remediating that because you still have access. Really powerful. Now you'll find that isolate and lockout are available in other situations, and they're reversible. So I'll come back and show you how to do that. Next is kind of a similar concept, but totally different focus. Monitor for ransomware attacks. With this policy, we will deploy 4 bait files to the primary documents folder of every end user in this location. Each one of those bait files has the word third wall built into them, and that makes them easily identifiable. And then we put a hair trigger or instantaneous monitor on those files. And if we see the content changing, we interpret that as uninvited encryption, unwanted encryption, which is ransomware. So we will take action immediately based on what you have clicked in this box if we see that happening. Ticket only, shut down with an asterisk. AV scan and isolate you've seen before, and the last option is disable the volume shadow service on this one computer, which is designed thus to protect the volume shadow copies, which are now precious, from the ransomware that is on this computer. So that is a critical action as well. And all that happens right now. And again, isolate is reversible later after you fix them, of course. The last one is alert on unencrypted disk, which will look for any disk on this location, internal disk only, that is not BitLocker encrypted. And I say BitLocker because that's all we check for. If you're using something else, or if you're using nothing at all for encryption on this location, do not use this policy. And you can limit it to laptops only if your client or this particular set of computers is so configured. So a bunch of different policies. I'm going to go back to the overview, and remember I hit save a little while ago. I'm going to hit save again, and you're going to see a bunch of them turn green, just like that. So I have a bunch of policies set up now. That's great. It took me a while, and remember this is only on one location. What if I want to apply this to multiple locations without having to go through all that rigmarole? Can I do that? And the answer, of course, is yes. I'm going to save this current configuration as a profile. And it says, give me a name to save it under. I'm going to save it under Scott. And I'm going to click OK. Oh, it already exists. Do you want to overwrite it? Yeah, absolutely. I want to overwrite it. So click. And this set of policies is now saved as a profile. Now, one thing I wanted to point out before I go any further is you notice this one here is a lighter green than the others. And lighter green means policy is active with exceptions. You probably knew that already, but I wanted to just point that out because we are going to go into exceptions here in a couple of minutes. All right, so what else can I do at this point? Well, I've now saved this to a profile, so I'm going to go to another location. I'm going to go actually to a location in one of our test environments, Location Stack, and I'm going to open up Location A. Very creative naming, I know. I'm going to go to third wall, and you see there's nothing there. So I can click here on this drop-down list, which is user class protected. Only a third wall admin can use this. I'm going to click on Scott, which we just saved, and that should look familiar. It's exactly the same ones. Now I have options here. Pending changes by profile. It's not green yet, so it has not been deployed. What can I do? I can click Save, which will make them all green on this one location. I can delete this profile, which just gets rid of that profile named Scott. That's all it does. I can clear the profile, which I'm going to do in a minute. It just gets me out of this blue profile mode. Or I can click Apply Profile. Now, if I click Apply Profile, I get three options. I can apply it to this location only, and then click Save. I can apply it to this entire client, even though I can't see those locations. Maybe there's 10 more in this client. I can apply it to this client just like that, or I can apply it to all clients, everybody that I'm managing, and it will go out pretty quickly to every Windows computer you have, just like that. So this is why it's user class protected, because this is something that you don't want just anybody having access to. I'm going to hit cancel right now and show you how to clear the profile, just like that. It's gone. Now I'm going to load a different one. We have some preloaded ones. One of them is called no-brainers. I kept talking about no-brainers. Well, there they are. This is the ones that we think that you should consider deploying to everybody, like right away. Why not? So I'm going to deploy these to the entire client. I could deploy to all clients, but I'll get the point across by deploying to this entire client. And I have about 30 locations in this test environment. So I'm going to click Save. And yeah, I want to deploy those. Ready, ready. I have a pretty fast server. You can see all those have turned green and they're ready to go. They're there. They're already deployed to these clients. Since we use automate commands, it happens pretty quickly. No scripts involved. So I'm going to go to a different location. Let's say, B. We'll go to B. Open up B, and you will see that there they are. I just deployed all these to B, and sure enough, here they are. That's pretty powerful. It doesn't take very long to deploy these. Now I want to show you something else. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click Data Security. And you notice that there is some extra blue here that I've put in there. And you say, oh, wow, this is cool. Now I'm going to just save it to this one location. I could save it to anywhere I want, but I'm going to save it to this one location. And notice that those turned green, nothing else went away. Profiles are overlays, or if you prefer to think of them, additive. They never take away, they only add. Now that is particularly important so that you can create a system of, well, let's see, I think I showed you this already. No, I don't think I did actually. I'm going to go back to our website, and I'm going to go home, and I'm going to go to here. No, I'm going to go to, resources, onboard your client again. And here is our policy matrix, which talks about no-brainers and talks about the impact on end users. The lower the impact on end users, as far as them noticing it, the more they are no-brainers. Impact on MSP, you can prevent headaches, or you can generate revenue. Again, a bunch of no-brainers. So we've captured all of these no-brainers in this. Go back here. Where was I? I was here. So all of those no-brainers you can deploy to everybody, and then you can come back and interview your clients to go ahead and deploy additional policies that you had to ask permission for. Now we have another tool about asking permissions. So again, I'll go to our website. Oh, I guess I did show you that no-brainers earlier, didn't I? Oh well, you got an extra dose. This one here, an onboarding document, and its companion document, the checklist, are all about doing an interview with your clients. Local account management policies, there's the policy, there's another one, and we talk about why this is important and the impact on end users. So you can use this, a very simple document, to interview your clients and find out the ones where you need permissions that aren't no-brainers. For instance, disable write to optical media. That's not a no-brainer. You really have to ask permission for that one. So it tells the impact on end users, and you can use this to create a profile for a single end users. We have, with that document, a spreadsheet, and I've already got it open, so I'll just go there. And you can see this lists all of the policies, the benefit, the impact on end users, the notice on them, it'll protect them, but will they even notice it? And then a column over here for you to record your answers. Yes, no, password length of 8, password age of 60. The orangish ones require some sort of data entry after you select them, so there you go. This gives you the opportunity to save all those. So you can interview your clients, create a profile, and overlay it on top of the one that you did for everybody. Very powerful. Now, what if I'm going to offboard this client and I need to get rid of these? Oh man, what a pain. And I can do that very, very easily by clicking on this one right here. I got to make sure I'm in the right location. Location ID 315. That should be the right one. Bunch of, no, this is not the one I want. Let's go here. That's the one I want. So offboarding this client. You need to go into every location before you offboard them, before you uninstall ThirdWall or the Automate agent. And see this button? It is an undo all for this entire location. Click. Yes, I want to do that. No, I don't want to abort. And we issue undo commands for all of those so that when those clients go away, they're not stuck with ThirdWall settings and bothering you later. So that's a pretty powerful way to do it. Now, this is only available at the location level, so you have to do it at every location, and that will work well for you to offboard a client. So I wanted to make sure you saw that. All right, back to well, that's everything there is to do with a single location and profiles. Let me now move to a single computer so that you can see what's going on with that. I'm going to open up this computer here, lovingly named Homer. Yes, we did have a Marge at one point, but no longer. Poor Marge. And here's this computer. So I'll expand it, and I'm going to right-click and go to the ThirdWall screen. And you can see a very similar look and feel. Now, it's important to note the meaning of the colors. Anything that's green means that that policy is currently active on this location, and therefore obviously impacting this computer. Yellow, the location policy is inactive and thus not impacting this computer at this point. And orange is the computer exception is already enabled. Remember we had one light green one? That was this one right here. We already had this one turned on as an exception before we ever turned on the policy. So it showed up instantly as light green. We have a couple more exceptions here that didn't show up. That's because those policies weren't even turned on when we went through those earlier. I can make an exception before, as you just noticed, we ever deploy a policy. So let's say this computer needs IPv6 for whatever reason. Click, and if you deploy IPv6 later, it will never impact this computer. But what about policies that are already turned on? Let's say you've got Restrict Local Administrator Tools policy already turned on, and somebody needs that access. Well, anything that's green, you can click on that, and we give you two choices. Make it a permanent exception or create a temporary exception. Temporary gives you the ability to select up to 60 minutes, and let's say 29 is enough. Maybe a technician needs to run as admin. Save, and that policy has now been accepted on this one computer and will re-enable automatically in 29 minutes. So that's pretty powerful. Now down here below, we've got a couple of utility buttons. What I really want to emphasize is these are very useful if you're moving a computer from location A to location B. Why? Because you don't want to carry over the policies from location A to location B on that one computer, and they will. Those settings are there, and they will carry through. Now the policies and the monitors won't, but the enforced settings will. So they'll get to location B, and you'll have things happening there restricted that you may not want in location B. So click this, and all of these will turn orange. Now I'm not going to do that for a specific reason right now. And once you move it to location B, just click Reset, and all of the orange goes away, and thus the policies that are in location B are free to start taking over and applying the settings to this computer from location B. So that's what these two are for. The buttons above it are clearly more interesting. Isolate, you've seen that before from two of our policies, but what if somebody calls you up and your technician and says, oh, I clicked on that cute kitty video and I shouldn't have. what should I do now? Now, of course, I can tell you, you should have restricted Gmail, so they couldn't have clicked on that cute kitty video in the first place. But here you are. What are you going to tell them? What's your technician going to say? Probably one of two things. Either turn off that computer and we'll send somebody over. Money, 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 costing you money. Or secondarily, please remove that blue cable in the back of your computer and we'll send somebody over. And you hope they disconnect the Ethernet cable, right? In the third wall world, no longer. What you will do is navigate to this page on that computer and you will click Isolate. Now, before I go there, I'm going to click on Screen Connect or ConnectWise Control just to show you something. There it is, and I'm going to go ahead and run a ping so you can see this thing is currently connected. Now, they call us up, this computer. We're going to click the Isolate button, and I am going to go ahead and isolate it. And we've issued an isolate command, and we'll see if fast talk, yep, there it goes. You see how fast it goes. And you notice that they are notified they've been isolated, which is good. And now I'll ping again, and you can see fail, fail, fail. But you notice that Screen Connect still works. Because remember, we disconnect it from the internet and the network, but we leave it connected to your Automate server and your Screen Connect server. Bang, just like that. Now, once you've fixed it, you can reverse it, and this is how you reverse it, whether it was applied here on this screen or by policy. Click Restore Networks, and it goes in reverse. Ready, ready, go. And we'll go back to this screen, and you notice they're notified that it's been unisolated, and I will ping again, and you can see it works again. Really powerful tool for you going forward. Screen lock, lockout, and annihilate are extremely important as well for lost or stolen computers. Screen lock is what it says. It locks the screen. If you have creds, then it will require those creds to get back in. Lockout, we've heard about that with one of our policies. It will log everybody off, and then it will disable all of the local accounts, and you must have domain creds to get back in, so a little bit safer. Annihilate, everybody's favorite. You have to have third wall admin privileges to launch this. I will click it and give you three options. Quick Annihilate deletes my documents folder or their data folder, and then it will destroy the registry. It happens very quickly. That computer's very soon unusable. Secure Annihilate will delete their documents, and then it will run a secure free space delete to get rid of all those documents fully. And then it will destroy the registry. Now that could take anywhere from 5 minutes to a couple of hours, so happening in the background, but we're getting rid of those deleted files before we destroy the computer. And then last is encrypted annihilate. We will go through in the background and encrypt the data files, and only the data files in that computer. And then with our own algorithm, and then we will run a secure free space delete to get rid of all the previously deleted ghost files. And then we'll stop. The computer is still usable, but the data is protected. If you recover the computer, yes, we'll give you the decryption key back free of charge. No ransomware in our business. We're stopping ransomware, not enabling it. So if I click Annihilate again, I still have to enter a username, legitimate, valid username, and I'm not going to, as you might expect. So that's Annihilate, really powerful. Now, all four of these you should know are perpetual commands. We use LabTech commands, which normally evaporate after 48 hours, but these do not ever go away until such time as they reach the end computer. Really important in case that computer is not on the internet when you issue the command. It'll get back on eventually, and then we will take whatever action is appropriate here. So that's what you can do on an individual computer. Last thing, I'm going to go into a couple of extra reports and data views that we have for you. One of them is, again, currently a legacy report. We've been migrating it to DevExpress, but for now it's legacy and Crystal reports. So under Report Manager, you can see it's the client audit report. Now this is really powerful if you or your clients need to pass an audit. That's HIPAA, PCI, NIST, SOC, whatever it may be. And again, it is client level or above. So I'm going to go ahead and run it for the ThirdWall demo client. And again, print preview for now. And you can see all of the policies that are currently on this particular client. And I'm going to page 2, and there you can see why I did not hit that accept all on that one computer. I wanted to show up. This is how you find the computer exceptions, is on this report. So there you go. This is an amazingly powerful report for audit purposes. We recommend that, again, that you schedule it, run it automatically, and send it to whoever might need it when they're undergoing an audit. Could be it basically tells them what policy is turned on, when it was turned on, the date of continuous protection, and remember, every 5 minutes. So a really powerful thing to show to auditors to, hey, you guys are covered. We have a similar tool in a data view, and I'll do this at all clients level just for fun. Data view, ThirdWall V2, and the enabled policy data view, showing you everything. Now there's actually 623 entries here, because remember I did a whole bunch of policies to a bunch of locations. So there it is. That works extremely well. And last thing is a couple of extra data views that you can do at any level. I'll just do it at the client level here. Data view, ThirdWall V2, and there is a computer audit log. Now, this is a log of every command issued by one of your technicians. So this is at the technician level, not end user level. That will show you every command that has been issued in the last 60 days. And who issued it. So that's pretty useful if you want to do a little troubleshooting as to, hey, who issued this command to this computer, or who made this exception? And there is a corresponding one for the location level, data views, ThirdWall V2, and the location audit log. Again, same concept, everything done at every location within whatever you clicked on, of course, and who did it and when they did it. A little audit trail for you of who's using ThirdWall and what they're doing. This concludes what we can do for you with ThirdWall policies, and you can see I've thrown in some extra things with reports and computers. So a ton of stuff at your fingertips. And I'm going to just end by going back to our home screen, and hope that you are finding this, or will find ThirdWall to be extremely powerful for you and your organization in protecting, going an extra step that, antivirus and firewalls just simply cannot do. We give you a true capability to lock down computers to the extent that it will dramatically reduce your exposure to malware, to ransomware, to data theft, to abuse of your systems, and cause you a ton more headaches and hopefully a ton more revenue. If you have any questions, please contact us, and we would love to answer your questions that you may have on ThirdWall. Thanks for your attention, and please be safe.